before I start this video, I'm just going to say that I literally just recorded this, but I had the mic off because I'm stupid. So I'm just going to check it's on. There we go, it's on. So, so here's a question for you. What is the fastest thing in existence? What's that? You think light is the answer? I can see why you think that. I mean, it's already a proven fact, but I'm going to go all out to debunk that theory. Now, light goes at 299,792.458 kilometers per second. That's faster than a jet could ever dream of, well, if it was sentient. Duh. But time must be faster. Why? Well, think about it. Time is a measurement for speed. To know how fast something is, we must measure it by using time. Time is a continuous thing. Light isn't always. Well, of course, technically, the sun is still blazing, and it always has been since it began. And it gives off light so bright that if you went too close, it would melt your entire body, dry up your blood and pop your eyes as if it were a pin to a balloon. Yeah, very satisfying and not in any way gory to think about. But in terms of, let's say, bedroom light, for instance, it isn't always turned on. And if you have had it always turned on, it hasn't always been turned on. Like, think about it, the light, even if you've left it on since putting the light bulb in, it's not always been turned on, obviously. Because before it was manufactured, before it was even screwed into that socket hanging from your ceiling, or wherever you have the light, or if it's a lamp, or whatever. It was just a bunch of wires and some sand. Sorry, Anakin. Glass is made out of sand. So you pretty much just pushed Mace Windu out of a bunch of solidified sand. So yeah, it was just a bunch of wires and some sand. The sand had to be heated, blah, 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 blah. And there we go. A working light bulb, wow! They probably would have tested it, but it's not left on while it's in a store due to it not being connected to a power source. So, although light does reach our eyes at the fastest speed possible, light does have speed, which at first that didn't even make sense to me how light had a speed, because I'm like, what do you mean? Or is it just when you flick a switch, because then, but yeah, so the light reaches our eyes at the fastest speed possible. You probably turn it off at some point, whereas time itself is continuous, and if time itself were ever to stop, the whole entire entity of reality and existence would cease to exist. And that would literally take no time to happen, as time isn't even going on. So basically, if you want to blow up in existence, figure out a way to stop time, except that's not possible, and even if that was a possibility, then, let's just not focus on that, because I couldn't think of anything fast enough, so yeah, it would literally take no time at all whatsoever to happen, because time would have stopped. Except you can't stop time. But just imagine you did. Time has to remain a continuous entity, whereas light does not. Okay, yes, the sun will always be blazing. Or, for those that believe that the sun will blow up. Well, then it won't, but okay. There's probably going to be an infinite light somewhere. But let's put it this way. Time and light itself are having a race. Just imagine, put aside the fact that time, like I've said a million times, has to remain continuous for once, and just imagine it. Just imagine, use your imagination. Be try and feel young again. Just imagine. Time begins running, so does light. Light appears to be in the lead, then someone flicks the switch that's connected to the light, giving it power. The light goes out, leaving time as the only contestant. And when someone turns the light back on, time is more than caught up and eventually wins the race. Also, just go into your pencil case and grab a ruler, or wait, no, I'm just going to pause that there. So, if all light went off, it wouldn't stop time, because light doesn't have to remain continuous, or at least I don't think it does. Time must remain continuous, otherwise the entity of reality and everything would collapse. So, you know, that's another thing backing up my theory. Light isn't always travelling, time is always going forwards. So if all light went out, time would still be going. And then if all the light went back on, or some light went back on, time would be ahead of it. And time always has been ahead of it when you think about it. Before light was existed, before God put the sun into place or whatever you believe, time was going. Time was running. Light, non-existent. So, also just go into your pencil case or toolbox and pull out a tape measure, or let's just go with a tape measure. Now, measure something smaller than the tape measure. Now, what is bigger? Obviously the tape measure, right? Yeah, good job. The tape measure has to be bigger or longer to know how small or big the item is. I could argue that the tape measure might stretch out to be exactly the same size as something, or that the object you've measured could have been bigger than the tape measure. The Earth exists, for instance. I dare you to hop into a space rocket, fly into space, to step out and measure the Earth with that tape measure. Obviously, the Earth will be bigger. If the Earth wasn't bigger, and was in fact smaller than the tape measure, it could not contain the tape measure. So, okay. If you set a timer for 5 minutes, then got light to travel, if light can't actually travel other than reach our eyes or whatever. If you got light to travel somewhere, that would take you 5 minutes to run, or something, it would take something, or whatever, it would take 5 minutes for that object to go. Light would have got there faster, as it is faster. It would return, and the timer would still be going on until after an amount of time equal to 99.99999999999. Insert a billion 99999s here. Percent of that 5 minutes, and then the timer would have stopped. But time must be going faster than light. Before light was created by God or evolved, but I'm just going with God because I believe in a God. I don't believe in evolution, but people that do believe in evolution, that is fine. Stick with your beliefs. But I'm going with my opinion of that God exists. I'm not trying to correct your beliefs. I believe in a God. You might believe in evolution, you might believe in something else. You might believe that it wasn't evolution nor a God. Depending on what you believe. So before light just came into existence or existed, whatever, time must have already been going. Time would have had to be going. I mean, did God create time? Was time coexisting with God? God has existed forever, so what? I don't know. But yeah, time must have already been going. If not, then the light couldn't have came into existence. Time, existence, God, if you believe in one, which I do, so that's what I'm going with. And the concept of maths must have existed long before time. We need mathematics for time to exist. For time, 3 maths exists. I mean, why else would time be measured in numbers? We'd need some form of maths for existence to exist. Otherwise, it could not be counted. It wouldn't exist because we couldn't. Nothing. It wouldn't be a fact that existence exists because we didn't have maths nor time. So it wouldn't be a single entity that existed. There wouldn't be zero. Zero wouldn't exist. If numbers didn't exist, blah blah. I'm just going on a tangent now. If zero didn't exist, what? No, if maths didn't exist, yeah, I'm just going on a tangent. If maths didn't exist, then nothing could. But we need maths for maths to exist. It's a paradox. It's a loop. It's whatever. So, yeah. Otherwise, yeah, we need some form of maths for existence to exist. Otherwise, it could not be counted. We couldn't know that it was one thing that existed. We wouldn't know that there was an entity that existed. It couldn't be a fact. We need existence for time and maths and God to exist. We need God to exist for all this to exist because God is and always will be eternal. So, yes, what came first though? God, existence, maths, time. Did they all coexist? In the concept of infinity, we usually think of it going forward, constant thing, always happening. But most things would have had to have started. Which, when you think about it, scientists probably believe that there's no God that exists because infinity can't be a concept. It can always go forward, but it can't have always been going forwards. It would have had to have a start, so yeah, I've just understood something. So I know, wait, what was I? So yeah, we need time, maths, blah 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 for God to exist. We need God to exist, for all of these to exist. God has and always will exist. Infinite. Has always been infinite, and excuse me, I just burped. Also, God can literally do anything, or at least that's what I believe, and I know that it's true, or at least if that is fact that God exists, which in my opinion it is. Whatever, sorry, I know there's probably going to be a lot of Einsteins and stuff saying, oh, there's no God, and I'm like, well, it's what I believe. That's the point I'm trying to make. I believe in a God, you might believe in something else. Let's just leave it at that. So, if God wanted to, he could have made something else faster than time, plus have reality remain stable. Now, I know, existence, reality, maths, and God have to remain continuous, but as time is the only measurement out of those other than maths, it is, and always will be travelling at an unmeasurable speed. Maths also can't be measured, nor existence, nor reality. Time is the only one of those entities that can physically be travelling other than God. Time is the only one of those entities that can travel, of course, other than God, if you believe. Of the listed entities, obviously, everything can travel. Well, most things can. Like if you had a teddy bear, throw it, it's travelling. The Earth's constantly moving, blah blah blah. But to know light's exact speed, we need to measure it through time. Maybe time it, like see how many miles it can reach within half an hour or a second or something. The only reason people don't really say that time is faster than light is because it doesn't have a measurable speed. It is always going and will always be going. Light, however, through time can be measured. Time can't be measured. Okay, now, light could reach a ton of miles faster than a second, or under a second, but that second Okay, so time has gone faster than that second, but time is continuous, time is running. So, obviously, time has to be faster than light, otherwise you can't measure its speed through time. But time is the only thing you can measure speed through. You can't just take measure, get something to run, and then know how fast it is without timing it as well, or without some form of timing it. You need to be timing it to see how fast it has gone. You know how fast something has run, but you wouldn't know how fast it can travel within a certain amount of time without measuring it through a format of measuring with time. So there you have it. If you like this video, then be sure to leave a like. Also consider subscribing.
Greetings, fellow inferior human being.
Hello?
It's me, I'm Stan. I couldn't be killed as I figured out a way to always exist, which is why a bunch of Americans built Area 51 to contain me. Also, if I sound like Sonic the Hedgehog, it's because the creator of this video, also known as Awesome Bro 101, couldn't find a voice on Bo.codes that sounded enough like Einstein, so he just went with this voice for the skit.
He's too dangerous to be left alive.
Well, Mr. Window Face, I will always survive so high. So have you ever wondered what superior words on a level too high for an inferior being such as yourself to recognize as human? FBI, open up.
Oh, heck, it was nice knowing you guys.